Hello and welcome to the business interview here on France 24. I'm Markus Karlsson. Today we're asking what 2012 has in store. At the start of 2011, it was billed as the year when the recovery would take hold after the credit crunch. But instead, the economy here in the Eurozone at least went from bad to worse. My guest today is the author and trend forecaster Gerald Celente. He's the founder of the Trends Research Institute, and he's been credited for predicting the dot-com bubble as well as the financial crisis. Mr. Celente is based in Kingston in New York State, and he joins us now from there. Thanks very much indeed, Mr. Celente, for speaking to us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Now, you've got a pretty gloomy economic outlook for 2012, both for Europe as well as for the United States. Tell us a little bit more about that outlook.
Yes, the recovery never happened following the panic of '08. The only thing that had been accomplished was the Federal Reserve able to pump in some $26 trillion into the economic system between the United States, Europe, and other nations around the world. So now the money's running out. There's no solving the European debt crisis. All the banks are nothing. They're calling them the wrong names, by the way. They're not banks. They're loan sharks. And the loan sharks can't get any more money from the people, which you call over there austerity measures. And privatization, that is not working either. There's only so much state assets that can be sold. So we believe that by the first quarter of 2012, after the Christmas holiday, the real day of reckoning is going to happen, and it's going to show that the global financial system is in collapse. And Merkozy or Obama or any of them are not going to be able to save it.
Now, that's a pretty provocative thought there, that politicians on both sides of the Atlantic, they're basically powerless in the face of the storm that you say is coming. What would that mean, though, for ordinary people? What would it mean for the average working man and woman?
A lower standard of living, as the government continues to try to tax them, increase their costs on services, raising their retirement ages till after they die, taking away their benefits. So you're seeing it, Marcus, all over the world. I don't know why people can't put the pieces together. It's called class warfare. A year ago, it was in Tunisia, and then it happened in Egypt. You saw it in Yemen and Bahrain. It's happening in Syria. There are riots, demonstrations continually in Greece. It's happening in the UK this past summer. The Occupy movements are everywhere. It's class warfare. Far too few have much too much, and way too many have much too little. So when the money stops flowing down to the man on the street, the blood starts flowing in the streets. Who should know it better than the French? I mean, if you want to get into a good entrepreneurial business, guillotines may be in fashion.
Now, there are probably a lot of people out there who are pretty skeptical about what you're saying. What do you base your theories on, and what do you base that forecast on that you've just explained to us?
Well, those that are skeptical, they should look toward their benevolent, wise leaders to bail them out. And they failed continually. Look at the new name they came up with for bankers. They call them technocrats. Mario Monti over there, Papademos over in Greece, Monti in Italy. They're bankers. They're not solving the situation. So what we're basing it on are facts. Take here in the good old USA. The median household income has declined 10% since the panic of '08 began. It's only getting worse.
But Mr.
Look at the jobs that have...
But Mr. Celente, if we look at some other facts, in the United States, we're actually seeing signs of the economy picking up again. I mean, it's not great at this stage by any means, but it's all right. Unemployment, for instance, is decreasing.
Yes, unemployment's decreasing. They're going to have to create 150,000 jobs just to account for new people coming into the workforce. And on average, they're probably around 60,000 jobs. The jobs that are being created, they're wonderful jobs. You get a university degree, you could have a job maybe as a manager in Walmart or one of those great hospitality sectors, you know, waiting on tables or cleaning rooms in hotels. Those are the kind of jobs that are being created. You cannot live a comfortable middle-class life in this country with the kind of jobs that are being created.
Now, even though the jobs growth is slow, there is still that jobs growth, though. I come back to that point. And is it really enough, or that slow jobs growth, to lead to this systemic crack that you're talking about? That seems like a pretty big leap.
Well, no, it's not at all, because when you look at where the job growth came, the jobs aren't producing. It's a plantation economy. Yeah, the folks out there were working, but they're working on the plantation. And again, let's look at the facts. The Federal Reserve is dumping in trillions of dollars to try to keep this afloat. So without that, it goes under. And then the other fact, just recently, just a day ago, they came out with a new revised GDP growth. It's 1.8%. That'll be reduced again. So no, it's only staying at a level that's sustainable if they keep shoveling money into the system. Marcus, interest rates are near zero. They're loaning banks money at nothing. So no, it's not sustainable without the Federal Reserve pushing money into it. If they continue to pump money into it, fine. But what does that do? It devalues the currency. Do I have to tell you? Look what the euro's trading at now. And the dollar is doing a little better, but getting into the dollar and out of the euro is like jumping out of the Titanic and into the Lusitania.
But other forecasters, they say that we're probably going to see growth picking up even more next year in stock markets that are going to grow or continue to grow. You're saying that's not going to be the case at all. But what kind of a system do you think we'll have instead then?
Well, we're seeing this system. It's called the merger of state and corporate powers. By definition, it's called fascism. Do you know they just passed a law in the United States on December 15th, exactly 220 years after the Bill of Rights, where they now allow the military to take over police actions? That's right. They passed a law in the United States on December 15th that gives the President of the United States the right to tell the military to arrest people like me who may speak about things that they don't like, call me an enemy of the state, and take me away without any charges,
but do you really
without
think,
any trial,
Mr. Celente,
without any jury?
Sorry for interrupting you. Do you really think they'll go that far? We have a democratic election coming up, after all, in the United States, as well as here in France in 2012. Surely, I mean, that's democracy at work. That's exactly the opposite of what you're just speaking about there.
I'm telling you, they just did it. They passed it. And this is unprecedented. Democracy, we don't have a democracy. Let's call it what it is. It's a representative form of government. And the only people that the politicians represent are the very rich and the very powerful. In the United States, they call it campaign contributions. Adults call it bribes and payoffs. There's no representative form of government. We have a gang of 535. That's how many senators and congressmen there are, telling 312 million people how to tie their shoes. So no, what they're doing, you're asking me where it's going, and I'm telling you where it's going. They're going to continue to clamp down. Have you seen these pictures of the Occupy protesters, what the police are doing to them?
Yeah, but they're still being allowed to protest, though.
No, they're not. They've closed down virtually every one of them. There's no protest. There's no freedom of speech. As I said, they just passed this law. I'm not making it up. You can look it up yourself. The National Defense Authorization Act.
I just want to turn back to the economy, though. Isn't there a risk that you and other sort of doomsayers are talking the economy down and are kind of leading all of this to happen?
Oh, that's, yeah. I didn't make all these bad loans to Ireland. I didn't create the real estate bubble in Spain. I didn't fudge the books so that Greece could get into the European Monetary Union. No, we're just pointing out what the con men have been covering up. That's all this is. You listen to their words. They say we have to build confidence. Confidence, con game, con men. What we're saying is look at the numbers, look at the facts, look at the unemployment. I hear from people all over the world that are working and can't make ends meet. And then, by the way, you look at the other end of the spectrum, right here in the good old USA. The gap between the rich and the poor is the widest in this country than any of the industrialized nations. When I was a young man and got into the workforce back in the early 70s, the gap between the CEO and the average worker was 40 to 1. Now it's about 450 to 1. So no, we're just saying what is.
All right, Gerald Celente, unfortunately, we have run out of time. It's been very interesting, though, to hear your thoughts and your forecasts. Gerald Celente from the Trends Research Institute, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to wrap up the program as well. Thanks for watching.